All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of the New York Power Hour here on Best Damn Sports. Tonight, you've got myself, Ash, here in the house. Once again, had to take a little holiday break last week, but I'm back with you. And we've also got Peter, the baby squid himself, and we've got not Jeff, and the Prince Man is also back with us once again. Boys, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. There's been some stuff going down. How are you guys doing tonight? How have you been?
I'm living the dream.
I'm just happy to be back here. I miss you guys. Yeah, I haven't been in the greatest health trades for a bit, so to be back here is something I was looking forward to. So it's nice to see your beautiful faces here on stream again. It's just good to be here and be able to bullshit a little bit, man.
Absolutely. Luke, what you got going on? How you been, my buddy?
I'm good. I'm recovering from Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving and ate a lot of turkey and mashed potatoes and all that good stuff.
Lots of lasagna. Lots.
Peter, what's going on, man?
With what? Oh, just life. I don't know. Things are pretty
How are
sick.
you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Napoli won today in the Coppa Italia on a penalty shootout.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick. The Jets are somehow still in the playoff hunt. So who would have thought? Not me.
I don't know why that's a thing. I don't
Bills
feel
won
like
a
that
game?
should be a thing.
Because the AFC is really bad this year. Right
Yeah,
now.
I think I saw a graphic for football, and I know we'll get to it at some point, but I saw like the playoff hunt on the AFC, and like the Dolphins are still in there too. And I know this feels like a random stray, but I'm like, this is not the way that it should be. Like nothing about the AFC makes sense right now. And yeah, I was actually going to go off on Peter. I was hurt because I wanted a tank commander. Peter was very upset by Justin Fields. He doesn't want the Jets to tank. He believes they can make it. And now they took the tank commander out. They got rid of Fields because Peter doesn't like them.
Hey, don't lie.
They got rid of Fields. They got rid of Fields because you didn't like him, Peter. And now we have a winning quarterback.
What?
Right? So now we have a guy who's winning football games for the Jets, and none of this is good.
Brandon Nemo's already on the Mets, and now you've already lost all accountability to a higher power.
We could
Why are you
have
lying?
had a beautiful tanking season going for Mendoza. You hated Fields, so they killed him in the back shed. And now we have a guy winning games for the Jets, which is disgusting because the Jets shouldn't be winning football games.
Okay, Ram, all of this would make sense if the Jets were a what's the word I'm looking for? Competent organization. Like, it doesn't matter like if they could have had the number one overall pick, they draft him, he automatically becomes terrible. Look at Sam Darnold. He's playing great right now. Or at times. Okay, overall. So certainly better than anything we've had in years.
Right.
So like it didn't really matter, but like just have fun, win some games. It's a good time.
I think we can all agree that the Jets have more needs than just quarterback, right?
Yes, they have a lot of needs.
They need a wide receiver. Too.
They need a new owner. They need.
Well, yes, I mean, we're not even going into that, but
yeah. By the time we get to Christmas and we have to do a shopping list for the teams when we do our Christmas show, and we do I'm pretty sure Peter and I are going to agree that the top of the list of the Jets' needs under the tree would be a new owner. But
I have never been anything under this management and ownership group, so like I think that everybody in America understands that the Jets need better ownership and management.
No,
but where I was going with that question though is like the Jets obviously have a lot of needs. I mean, they're 3-9 now in the season, and they've not been a good franchise for a while. They're likely to get a high, top 10 draft. I mean, if they keep winning games, they're not going to be top 5s. That's why I say top 10 pick. But Tyrod Taylor, hear me out on this. Like, he's not your long-term solution, but he could be your transitionary quarterback that's like because you have other pieces you need. And with that, say 6th, 7th, 8th pick in the draft, in my opinion, you're going to have to draft something other than a quarterback every time you're in the first round with the Jets. So like start looking at some of those other positions and fill those holes. And once you get a team built up around, then you go get a quarterback that's going to be your franchise quarterback.
And here's the other thing too. You don't have to get an elite quarterback with your first 10 picks. I mean, look at what the Giants did, right? They waited till the end of the first round. They got their guy in Jackson Dart. There's no reason why the
Tom
Jets
Brady.
look at Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean, no one.
I mean, it's true.
I
Yeah,
don't wanna
I know that we get a Tom Brady every draft or so in the 6th round, so I know it's easy to say that, but
People bring it up every year, that's for sure.
I know it drives me so up a wall, man, when they're like, "Hey, you don't have to draft quarterback early. Tom Brady was a 6th rounder." I'm like, "Yeah, congratulations!" Like I hate that happened. That's more hate towards Brady. But no, I mean, I don't know, man, because as much as I jest with Peter, right? He's 100% right about the fact that nothing about the Jets is a competent organization, and this is a tough one because I don't even think there's a right answer in the sense of like I believe wholeheartedly watching the Jets as long as Peter has alongside him that if we draft a quarterback, that quarterback will now become snake bitten, and if we don't draft a quarterback, then that person does not actually work out either. Like we'll get a wide receiver and he'll tear his ACL and never be so useful. By the way, just bringing this one back out here. Luke's hair does look good. I'm glad to see Peter smile that way. That was cute. That was a very genuine smile on Peter's face, by the way. I think it's very cute to see him like lose his mind. He's prepping for a Nashville trip in about a month where he's going to kill some ladies down there in a very romantic way. So knock him dead, Peter. But no, I don't even know if there's right answer for the Jets. If we're going to go into football to start, right? Because I like Mendoza, but I firmly believe that if the Jets draft a quarterback, they might screw it up, right? But if they go like they drop to like the 6-7 pick and maybe they take Tyson or they take a top wide receiver to go ahead and pair with Garrett Wilson, then we won't have a decent enough quarterback to make it work. I just don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now. Like they're like the worst of. I don't disagree with Tyrod Taylor being a transitional quarterback, by the way. I mean, we've seen some of these guys that like, Jacoby Brissett is lighting it up over there for the Cardinals right now, right? Mac Jones kept the 49ers alive. Some of these guys are figuring things out years later than we would have expected, and they're manageable at quarterback. And Tyrod is a career backup. We know what we're getting with him, right? But I feel like the skill gap here, like if you get an elite quarterback or you get a quarterback that is the guy, he can elevate a bit of a team around him. And so if you're going to get a pick that's somewhere like 3 or 4, you're probably going to want to swing for your quarterback, even in a draft like this that may not be amazing. But it's obviously just kind of a moot point because if the Jets do win useless games again, because Tyrod Taylor is going to continue to do things, apparently, we might not have a pick in the top 5, like Ash said. We might have a pick at like 8 or 9, and then the quarterback conversation is gone. So the decision might get made for the Jets if all works out. We really don't know.
This might end up being a blessing in disguise because it's not like the quarterback class this year is anything highly touted outside of like one guy. And even then, there are certainly some holes in this game. If I can just throw something out there crazy into the universe, which I don't actually believe is going to happen, but like, I sure would love it. I could see a situation where the Bengals are getting a little bit tired of Joe Burrow and his injury BS. And although it's their fault because they can't protect him and give him a good line, that's one thing the Jets actually do have. They have a good offensive line. They have a good running back. They have a great wide receiver one.
Oh no!
Don't
tell me you're on that. Don't tell me you're on that train.
Why not? I mean, do I feel? Honestly, genuinely, do I feel super excited about that prospect? No, but it's certainly when he's been healthy, he's been great.
I love Joe Burrow. All right. I watched, I think this might have been LSU, I think, Joe Burrow, where like that Joe Cool photo of him with the cigar and stuff after the game. Like
there was nothing cool about Joe in Ohio State. So yeah, it was definitely LSU.
Yeah, I like Joe Burrow, and I think he's a very, very talented quarterback. I do think that the Bengals are in a position where how do I say? Their entire offense is Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, essentially. And they're in a position where I feel like giving up on Joe Burrow would, ruin everything they have going on over there because they need him right now. So I just don't think that that's a move that happens. And I don't necessarily think that it's a situation. What do we think on this one, folks? That Luke looks exactly like Joe Burrow. I think I can see the resemblance. I do think that like if Joe Burrow had a younger brother, like same jawline and everything, that that Luke would actually be in the candidate for that.
Yeah, Burrow's actually my maiden name. Like that's my mom's maiden name. Like, isn't that weird? That's crazy.
Makes a lot of sense.
You lie to me so much that I don't know whether to believe you or not.
It's true.
I don't believe you. But
You shouldn't believe me.
I know, you freaking liar. But I definitely think that. Look, I like the idea of Joe Burrow on the Jets because it sounds like something I would do in Madden. It would be really cool. Like I'd be like, oh my god, yeah, now the Jets are fine. Because you got to think about it, right? You move Joe Burrow to the Jets, he gets Breece Hall, he gets Garrett Wilson, he gets an above-average offensive line. I mean, you draft some guys on defense, make a trade. Yeah, the Jets are an above 500 team next year. That's legitimately a thing. I agree with that, but I just don't see that being a realistic thing that I want to hang my hat on. At the end of the day, I mean, you're right about this being a weak quarterback draft. I think there's a few guys that are coming out of it. Maybe, I mean, like 4 quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds. Maybe it might be like Mendoza, Simpson, Dante Moore, maybe Lenora Sellers. That's about it. I've mentioned Garrett Nussmeier before from LSU because I believe he has family that works with the Saints, so they might look to take him at some point. But it is not a quarterback-heavy draft. I just don't know. I mean, on the other end, we saw, like, in terms of New Jersey / New York football sports, we saw the Giants, as much as they can be a fun team, are also still kind of in a tough spot when it comes to some higher-end teams when they ran into the Patriots, too. You know, I mean, the Jets beating the Falcons was funny for me because as a Saints fan, it's really funny to watch the Falcons lose. And the Falcons don't have their first-round pick, so them losing actually only hurts them, which is really funny. And so on the flip side, I was like, all right, cool. You know, the Jets beat the Falcons. I'll live with that. That's amusing. Good, fun, random football. Maybe the Giants will beat the Patriots and the gods will align. And that didn't work. Drake May continues to get lucky. So, but we did see the fact that the Giants still have the potential to do something special next year. I know the draft time, Luke and I are going to talk a lot about this because we look at this on the opposite end. He's saying, hey, we should just go for, you were saying go for Tyson, go for Broke, and like really push this team. And I think they should trade back out of it. And I think they're more likely to go along the route that you described, if I'm being honest, because it looks like they're putting some stuff together. And we'll see what comes of it. But a lackluster performance against the Patriots. But right now, as much as anyone might not want to give them credit, and that person is me, I don't want to give them any credit. The Patriots sit atop of the AFC.
Yeah,
I don't want to give them any credit.
No,
I don't want to give them any credit at all.
Ash, I feel like sometimes you forget this podcast called the New York Sports Hour. You think we want to talk good about the Patriots?
I'm not going to say anything good about it. I'm waiting for next year because when Drake May faces a more regulated schedule and people are adjusted to the fact that he's not Tom Brady, I think we'll be fine. So I'm not really panicked about Drake May yet. But at the end of
the best nickname in sports, I'll give him that though.
Is his nickname just Drake May?
Yep, Drake May. It's great.
I can respect that. I do think it's kind of funny. I like when a guy's nickname is more than what you think of his actual name. You know, when I think of Drake May, I do think of Drake May. So for me, when the nickname has surpassed the name, the actual birth name, I do say that I should give some respect on that. So good point on the nickname. I agree. But but you know, putting the Patriots aside because nobody cares. You know, it's one of those things where the Giants are fine off. They're going to get a high pick too because the Giants actually are scheduled right now to have a better draft pick than the supposedly tanking Jets. The Giants right now at 2-11. I think are scheduled for the second pick. The Jets would be 7th right now, according to Tankathon, at 3-9. So we're in a position where the Giants would actually have a higher pick than the Jets. And in that case, I mean, I definitely think you're trading down out of that, to be fair. But if you're 1 or 2, because you don't need the quarterback, and you could easily trade back to like 6 or 7. But so ChatGPT told me this past week the Giants had continued disciplinary issues with a key player. Can you tell me more about that? Yeah, I would love to. This is a lot more of Luke's conversation than me, knowing the topic. But do you want me to breach any of this, Luke? Do you want to talk about what's going on with the Giants and something you might be able to relate to?
How about you breach it in and then I'll finish it off.
Well, my favorite part about this week, and whether ChatGPT knows this is fake or not, was the fact that there was a rumor going around. This is not true, but the original thought process that came out was that Abdul Carter was missing some plays in the beginning of the game because he was caught watching pornography in the team locker room. That did not happen, but God, I really, really fucking wish it did, just because I was watching people sit there. There is an account that tweets out like Giant stuff all the time, and it's one of those amusing accounts. It's Wesley Steinberg. Wes Steinberg pretends to be a Giants reporter, and he tweets out stuff all the time. One of his more famed ones early in the year was an incredibly homoerotic fan fiction tweet about Jackson Dart and Brian Dable. and it went wild. And I had people reaching out to me like, "Hey, this is very weirdly written for a reporter," and I'm like, "That's because he's not a reporter. He's just a really, really fun troll." But he sent out a tweet saying because his account is premium, thanks to Elon's stupidity in running Twitter, that made it seem that he was being punished for watching pornography in a team meeting with his headphones disconnected. As much as I'd like that to be a thing.
I have a question for the podcast. Do you guys think Abdul Carter and Reese McGuire hang out ever?
Why would you ask that, Peter?
I'm just curious. Like, maybe whenever the Giants are in Chicago to play the Bears, maybe they get together over a cup of coffee.
You know what? That one took me a minute, and I was taken back to this past summer. I was like, what does Reese McGuire have to do with?
Yeah,
what does Reese McGuire have to do with any of this? And then I thought about Reese McGuire just sitting in his car late one night, just
hanging out,
just hanging out. Just hanging out, doing.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
Get together. For what it's worth, Abdul Carter did actually catch wind of the fake rumors, and he originally tweeted out, "Stop slandering my name, real shit, and if you believe that bullshit, you stupid." And then somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Abdul, it's a fake tweet," and then he went ahead and deleted that response. So as of the moment, we don't have an official response from Abdul Carter on why he was benched. But we can confirm to you, at least on behalf of the podcast, that it was not for watching pornography with his headphones disconnected in the team meetings. And I can say that with sure. I don't want to out my sources, but I'm going to be pretty confident in saying that was not the reason that Abdul Carter did not play the first series against the Patriots.
Were you doxing him? Were you able to get this inside information on Abdul Carter?
I had a long conversation with Wesley Steinberg, and I on the Discord. It's the Best Damn Sports Discord. It's a bit of a moniker that I carry, but some people know me as the porn guy. And so I reached out to some people that I might know in the industry who are pretty well aware of porn and the whereabouts of where it would be watched in terms of. That's a great time for Ash's wife to join the stream, by the way. Outstanding job. That's great for me to just see her say hello right then. So as I feel like I think I owed it to you all as the porn guy to be able to figure out whether this was true or not. Because being real, if it was like the reason he was suspended, Abdul Carter should be on the podcast next week, right? Like he should have been on the podcast. Like me and him should be having a conversation next week about what he was watching, right? And the fact that he wasn't watching it and that's not why he faced disciplinary action was a little bit disappointing to me as a person, but I mean, that's just me. Like I this is not about me getting personal here, but I just had to figure it out for myself because I think it was pretty important for me to know. I believe in being very factual here.
So Ren, let me ask you this as the porn guy, right? If the rumors were true, right? Do you think a benching was justified?
I think that as a society, we need to stop being so prude about these things, right? Because like I gotta be real. Let's think about this, right? The tweet says he was watching pornography in the team meeting with the headphones disconnected, right? This is not a guy who his dick wasn't out. He wasn't masturbating. He wasn't doing any kind of public indecency. He was just merely sitting there and taking in some of the finer arts in life, right? And so if we're at a point where that's not going to happen, like that's not a thing where we can respect that people do this, I'm struggling to be part of like society here. I'm struggling to understand where I fit as a person here. Who am I? Like who among us, right? And this also goes out to the people who are listening. You know, Luke's girlfriend, Luke's girlfriend's family, Peter's boss, Ash's wife. Who amongst us hasn't been caught watching porn in a position that we are in? Watching all of you die is actually the best of it. I lost Luke off screen and I couldn't do it. But no, I do think it's kind of one of those things where what I will say on a serious note, I think it's amazing that we're at a point where like even though we know that these fake accounts exist, that they get so much traction
Yeah.
Like, you can take one look at the Wesley Steinberg thing and be like, okay, this isn't the actual guy for the Giants, right? And this got so much traction. I mean, it's like the Ball Sack Sports or like NBA Centel on the other side. The players are aware of this stuff and they get caught. Thank you. I appreciate that. So the things that what did you learn that you didn't know about all of us already? It's a common thing that people watch pornography. I hate to break it to you. I hate to be the guy to break it to you out there.
I'm a big watcher of the Hallmark Channel.
I know.
So you're going to see the Die Hard Christmas special on
I can't wait to watch the Die Hard Christmas special on Hallmark. Actually,
yes, I'm very excited for this weekend because it's going to be a Die Hard Christmas kind of weekend, for sure. I don't, Ash, I don't know about you, but this, this Abdul Carter news kind of reminds me of the Connor Bedard news from a couple of years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That actually is in line.
It's just so funny because blatantly incorrect. Sorry. Yeah, I want to address this really quick. Totally incorrect. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It's not.
It occurs during Christmas. It happens at a Christmas party.
So then Babe's Christmas movie.
There's Christmas magic. There's Christmas magic that happens. I don't know what to tell you.
So then Babe's a Christmas movie too.
Yeah, it is.
A scene takes place during Christmas, so it has to.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely.
I think you're pushing the boundaries a little bit
because it's a couple reuniting for the holidays, trying to rekindle their romance.
Yep.
During the holidays, how much more Christmas could you get?
I'm pretty sure he throws a Merry Christmas in there.
Some people just don't have respect for those type of things, and I just want to put this out. This was actual tweets that went out from Underdog. Does time to have a little fun. Taking place during Christmas time does not a Christmas movie make. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if we want to do the full. I think we're gonna have a late to Christmas episode, so I can't wait for that episode to be overtaken by us just discussing Christmas at the end of the day, because that's all we're gonna end up doing. But terrorists, what every good Christmas movie had. The triumph of good over evil actually does tend to be a very common Christmas theme, but I don't.
What is the Grinch to Whoville? Come on, that's a Christmas movie.
No, the Grinch is a good guy because in all Christmas movies,
in the end he's a good guy, but
there's only good people in Christmas movies. There's never any evil.
He is a terrorist turned good.
I would say so, but I mean that might be.
Come on, what are we talking about?
I think we're asking.
I would argue the people of Whoville were the terrorists all along.
So awesome, and they are too. You're right. I
was recently rewatching the original Jim Carrey Grinch thing the other day, and I had forgotten that the mayor's wife had had a long time kind of crush on the Grinch and stuff like that. I remember sitting there, and I was like, wow, that's kind of fucked up.
Ash, you're the Grinch. I didn't know that.
Grinch just wanted to stay home and hang. If the Grinch had college football on TV in his Ice Mountain, I would believe that it could be Ash. I firmly believe.
No. There's one additional thing. He needs to have young adults in his basement too, and then 100% the Grinch.
Who's were probably in his basement at some point, so we've already kind of
Well, he lives on the mountain.
He was at the top of the mountain, right? And they were at the bottom of the mountain, so they were technically at the basement.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Ash is a great sport. I appreciate him so much.
Remember when he was a furry too?
Did that stop?
Okay, let's on that note. Peter,
we actually
take us to the read for tonight.
So, guys,
we're back.
How did that get there?
Whoa!
All right, guys, this is high quality podcasting.
I think this is a great time for our sponsor.
That's the screenshot that I want, by the way. I just want to tell Mark, be like, by the way, we've shouted you out on the podcast, and then all of a sudden it's just there. Abdul Carter, pornography has entered the game, and he's just gonna look at me, and I'll be like, I didn't tell you it was gonna be beautiful, buddy. It was gonna be there. All right, Peter, go ahead, do the thing.
All right, so guys, we have a sponsor again for our show, ncasecards.com. You can make custom sports cards. Great gift for the holidays. Use code NYPH for 20% off all your custom card needs.
And the best thing for you prudes out there is that NCase Cards is family friendly. And they're going to go out there. You see right there, they're looking to do things for you and your children and your spouse. They want to make you feel happy. So if you don't believe in degenerates like me,
Carter.
Right. You want to go ahead and just do some classic family-friendly things. Talk to them at NK's Cards. They're going to get something nice for you that the whole family can appreciate. Unlike some other of the finer things in life, but we'll work on that. I'll change society one person at a time. Don't worry too much about that. But anyway, swinging it back to some of the things that we talk about, which are apparently New York sports, and moving past football, we should move on to a little bit of baseball since there is some action for us to talk about. Or at least I'd like to talk about it. Yeah, this is one of the things I'd like to talk about. So Devin Williams is signing with the Mets for a 3-year deal. It's about 3 years, 45. There's some deferred money. There's some signing bonus stuff. So it averages out to, let's say, 345, give or take. And now big question for the Mets is, okay, Devin Williams is in town. Is he your closer? Is he your setup guy? Now, the reporters have said right off the bat that Devin Williams is open to being in a setup role, and the Mets do have interest in Diaz, so they're looking to use him as option 1A and not the first option. They want to get Diaz back, right? And so that changes the dynamic of the move a lot, I would say. If they can actually retain Diaz and have Devin Williams, it's a lot different of a move than just signing Devin Williams alone. That being said, although Devin Williams is coming off a bit of an uneven year with the Yankees, his peripherals still look pretty strong. Most of the fan base, I think, is pretty happy about this. I mean, Peter, I'll go to you first because you're the other Mets fan on here with me. What do you feel about this Devin Williams signing?
So my first instinct was I had a lot of tweets to delete about Devin Williams. My second thought was, a lot of my feelings on this depend on if we sign Edwin Diaz or not. But the more I thought about it, the more I really liked it. Because even if we don't sign Edwin Diaz, you needed a closer. And there's not that many better closers out there on the free agent market than Devin Williams. So, all the reports came out pretty quickly from all the beat writers that the Mets are still in on Diaz. The reason why I specifically screenshotted and put this tweet here is because David Stearns, it seems like he's still planning to add, which to me would assume Edwin Diaz, but to help bolster the back of the bullpen, not to be the back of the bullpen. Yes, he had a bad, classic counting stats, your ERA and all that stuff, but if you kind of take a look under the hood, he had a good season. He started off really bad, ended strong. Unlike other players in New York that got traded, and were just terrible the whole time, Ryan Helsley. And plus I think the contract is very team friendly. I'm a big fan of it. It's 3 years, it's $15 million $15 million a year, $5 million deferred, and he gets $1 million bonus if he gets traded. So I'm cool with it. It's not that much money for a closer if you think about it, or a high leverage setup man. If he ends up being bad, then it's going to suck. But again, if you don't sign Diaz, you need somebody there anyway. And Devin Williams, he's very David Stearns is very familiar with him. He was in Milwaukee. Unlike other closers that you've traded for in the past to be your setup man, he has been a setup man before. In Milwaukee with Hader being the closer. So I feel a lot more confident about this than I did, the Helsley debacle, we'll call it, to be nice. I think that's the nicest way to put it. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think it's a great signing. Especially if you sign Edwin Diaz back, to me, this has the potential to be the best 8-9 inning pairing in the entire sport of baseball. Devin Williams, he had his struggles at times in New York, but a lot of closer type, late inning type of relievers go through stretches like that and then bounce back and are just fine. So I have every confidence in the world that Devin Williams is going to be just fine, especially if you slide him into the 8th inning role with Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. That's an unbelievable bullpen. You're shrinking the game to 7 innings at that point. Because if your team has the lead after 7, boom, you're throwing these two guys out there back to back. That's that's reminiscent of the Nasty Boys in Cincinnati when they had those 3 guys closing it down every night. This could be an unbelievable pairing. And I don't see any reason why he's going to not excel in that eighth inning role.
Well, good thing he doesn't have to see the ball. He's pitching it. It's up to the defense.
Yeah.
And the Mets, thankfully, have a much better defense than the Yankees did. Plus, I get, players can struggle sometimes, and it takes time to adjust to New York. So I'm glad he did it in pinstripes, and he's already adjusted to New York fine now. Like, he ended the season great. So it's exciting times.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, the deal is interesting. I know we've said it a bunch of times. If they bring Edwin Diaz, I mean, this is a slam dunk, right? 15 million for, I would say, an above average reliever at this point in his career. I know we've talked about his peripherals. His peripherals do show that he's declining slightly, which is a little bit concerning. And I'll bring up one other thing, and because I'm a Yankee fan and I'm going to be a hater. How have relief pitchers fared when they've gone from the Yankees to the Mets? I mean, yeah, the Yankees to the Mets. Because the two I think of are Dellin Betances, who, granted, was very talented, and then a career cut short by injuries, right? And didn't pan out for the Mets. And then Adam Ottavino, who was really lackluster with the Yankees towards the end, and then continued that lackluster performance when he came to the Mets.
I mean, Adam Ottavino was okay as a Met, his first year at least. And I mean, if we're talking about that, how'd Paul Blackburn work out for you?
I think Paul Blackburn was a last minute pickup to just eat up innings, and he was very. He ate those innings. I don't think anyone on the Yankees were thinking, wow, this guy's going to turn this team around.
I mean, he did make the postseason roster.
He did. Again, I think he was there when, if you're in a blowout game, just toss him out and let him eat up innings. I mean, that's exactly what the Mets did. And I saw that with him in Colorado. I mean, I think they were up like 10-3, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to throw Paul Blackburn out there for 4 innings, and if he lets up 5 runs, whatever. I think there's definitely a different level of expectations between Paul Blackburn and Devin Williams. I think we can both agree on that.
I don't know. I mean,
just a little bit.
Here's what I'll say. Not even to be snarky about it. I remember when the Mets traded for Edwin Diaz, and he struggled to adapt like his first year here in New York. And I do think that coming from environments like, Seattle's not a small city, but just looking at the market of Seattle or looking at Milwaukee, right? There is a culture shock for a lot of these players who come over, and not everyone adjusts right away. I do think that I've seen it with some relief pitchers, and I'm calm about it in the sense that, if you look at Devin Williams, and we talked about his peripherals, I know that they are to some extent declining, right? But let me just pull up his Savant for a second, because I want to show about the fact that, let's get this over here. Yep. So his Savant for last year, I mean, for the most part, still paints to me although his actual ERA, and you can see it there, right, is starkly higher than where it was for his career. For the most part, he's looking to be, in terms of peripheral wise, about what I want from him. I mean, his pitching run value, all this stuff is still looking pretty clean. So, and the fact that he's 31, he's not like 35. I know that relievers don't always age gracefully, but I would be very comfortable saying that this could be a solid 3 years here for the Mets if he's working as the setup man. As you guys have said, I mean, look, if he's behind Diaz, I think that's what really makes this a special signing. And so I'm going to hold my breath on the idea of whether or not he's going to be the guy or he's going to be one of the guys. But I do feel a little comfortable in the idea that I don't think he's going to turn back into, I mean, you see the 23-24 numbers. I'm not expecting him to do that, right? But we do know that that's his upside. And so the fact that I'm assuming, working with the idea that 2025, at least the ERA was a bit of an outlier, and the strikeouts were still pretty strong, as you can see there. At the end of the day, if he can just uptick a little bit, he's going to be an above-average reliever, as Luke was saying. And I think that makes it a really good deal so far for the Mets. A lot of things could happen, and I'm not 100% sure, but I do like this. I've always thought Devin Williams is pretty good. I know that it's in Luke's nature to be upset because it continues the trend of guys the Yankees traded for and then immediately saying, wow, it's much nicer in Queens, and then signing a multi-year contract in Queens. I realize that that's the thing now, and it's in, and it's fun. So it can be a little hurtful. But I feel good about this. I also really, really like Edwin Diaz. He's one of my favorite players. He's my favorite closer in baseball, partially because he plays for the Mets. And so I worry about whether or not Devin Williams is going to have to take over for that. I mean, if you can keep Diaz, this is no problem. But if you can't, there's a lot of pressure on a guy who's coming off a subpar year to produce at an elite level. And that might be asking for too much, and that might be asking for trouble. I went into this offseason saying that I wanted the Mets to address the bullpen with actual names, though, because we talked about the fact that Sturm's dumpster dives, and he's really good at it. He's really good at finding value in places that there may not have been, and I respect that. But I wanted to see at least one bona fide addition to the pen and actually commit to a guy like this, and he did. So I have to be honest and stick to the fact that this is what I asked for, right? So if he sucks, and I've got to deal with it. But I did say I wanted a name that could help, a name that bolsters that bullpen and makes it a real lockdown 8-9 combination. And we have that here, at least on paper. So I'm going to say for now that I really enjoyed what they did there.
Can I say something nice about the signing? Is that okay? Is that acceptable?
I would hope so.
I'll kind of piggyback again on, if the Mets are able to sign Edwin Diaz, this is a slam dunk. And one of the reasons I say that is because you have a lot of complementary pitching between your 8th and 9th inning now. Devin Williams, who features the, that airbender changeup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Low 90s, high 80s changeup in the 8th inning. And then you switch over to the 9th inning, high octane, left to right movement with Edwin Diaz. That's big. That's complementary baseball. And I think that's a kind of chemistry that you want between the 8th and 9th inning. Working past the fact that these guys are two of the top relievers in the MLB, you have two guys who have pitches that can complement one another between the 8th and the 9th inning. And I think that makes this a slam dunk for the Mets.
Yeah, I don't know if Tyler Rogers, I believe, is the one we had, because I always mix up the Rogerses, and I apologize. But when we acquired Rogers last year for the Mets, I was actually really excited about that for the same concept. I talked about it with you on air, Luke, that the fact that his type of pitching, not only is he a useful piece in the late part of games, but complementary pitching, it works in tandem. I mean, you're going from a guy that is side-arming and throwing weird movement, funky delivery, and then all of a sudden you've got a guy coming in throwing 96 to 100 and that type of break. So I really enjoyed Rogers as part of any kind of pen late inning for that. I mean, he's not a guy you go to in extras because you don't necessarily want to pitch the contact guy in extra innings, sure, but he's still a lockdown reliever, and he was here with us. I don't know if he'll return, considering he was pretty much out in San Francisco for the entirety of his career beforehand. So there's no guarantee that he wants to stay on the East Coast or anything like that. But I would love something like that. Now, we've still got Raley, and we have Minter going into next season too. There are going to be some good pieces for this pen. This was a huge thing. But I think at the end of the day, not to be greedy, but it's got to involve Edwin Diaz. You need to bring Edwin Diaz back, or else it still looks like it's going to be something that could be more trouble than it's worth for a bullpen. And I hate to say that. It's not a knock on Devin Williams, but it's also the truth of the matter. He is still coming off a subpar year, and we got to be real about that. I think he'll bounce back. I'm pretty confident. I like the deal. And a lot of people
look at the chase, whiff, strikeout percentage, expected ERA, expected batting average. I mean, those are all elite rankings right there. Like 99 percentile on whiff rate. Like,
yeah,
this guy's still really damn good.
He had a bad year last year, but his K percentage is still top 3.
It just looks like to me he was unlucky. Like, I mean, you have a 97% chase percentage. Like, come on. There's 97 percentile, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's crazy because looking at that alone, like I sit there and if I look at that Savant page alone, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy could be pretty solid, right? And then it's wild. So if anyone's out there listening and you're like, no, he can make it work and stuff like that, I'm just gonna let myself get humored here, and I'm gonna show you the Edwin Diaz side, right? Just to say why I'm like, oh, we need Diaz too. I mean, if you look at what's going on here, it's even redder, right? Like this is also this is disgusting.
This could be the best one-two punch in baseball. Like
coming off a bad year, Devin Williams going to this. I mean, this could legitimately be one of the nastiest 8-9s that we've seen in a while. And this is insane, by the way.
That's a lot. I mean, the game is 7 innings at that point.
Well, that's great because the Mets starting pitchers can only get through 5. But my last point on
we're getting there.
I want to make on Williams is a lot of his ERA is inflated. Whenever he came in, I believe this. I have this correct. Whenever he came into a game when there were runners on, he didn't allow a run to score. But a lot of his runs that he gave up was when he got taken out of the game. Now, granted, yeah, he got people on the bases, so it is what it is. But he technically wasn't the one to give up those runs. A lot of those runs.
I assume you're referring to like the second half of the season because he did give up a lot of goddamn runs at the beginning of the season. I'm going to say like let's not paint.
I'm not saying giving up runs. I'm saying when people were on, when he was brought in when there are already runners on base.
I mean,
relievers' ERA can be inflated because a few bad outings can really distort your ERA for the rest of the year.
I agree, but he did have a really bad first half of the year. I don't want to talk
terrible.
About, I could ask Luke. Luke will be the first one. And I don't mean to do. I'm not trying to torment Luke, but I'm like, Luke, you can back me up here. Like he was asked the first half of the season.
He was brutal. I mean, we literally were on this podcast, asking for Luke Weaver to be the closer instead of this guy, right? Like, are we forgetting that? Like, are we forgetting that happened? Like this at one point in time, this was a Luke Weaver podcast. Now we've casted Luke Weaver away because he is absolute ball sack. But there was a point in time where we were begging for Aaron Boone to never pitch this guy ever again.
I still think Luke Weaver is serviceable, by the way. I just feel like the Yankees are screwed with his head. But I don't think he's that bad.
They hurt his, you know what? I can get behind that. You know what? They hurt his confidence because he was supposed to be the closer, and they just never wanted to commit to him.
He's always the
prize,
never the prize.
They hurt him, so he hurt them. It's only fair.
It is a cycle of misery, and I'm really proud of you to be moving. I'm glad you've been going to therapy and that you can bring that type of knowledge to the podcast. I'm really proud of you. Very good.
I'm growing as a human being.
I know, and I couldn't be more proud of you. I really could not be more proud of you.
Since we signed Devin Williams, do we have to pretend? And if we re-sign Pete, do we have to pretend like the 2024 home run never happened? Or
you don't want to talk about hurting feelings? Freaking Devin Williams is going to walk in his City Field, and it's just going to be like moving highlights of Pete Alonso jacking that home run off of him. Like, there's got to be. I would love to see the first interaction of Pete looking at Devin, and Devin Williams is like, "Hey, fuck you." Like, I just want this to be it's okay. Like, they don't have to all they don't all have to like each other. I mean, we saw some reports about Lindor and Soto and stuff like that. And God forbid guys be professional with each other in the workplace. Like you have to, it's okay. Not everybody has to be your best friend. I don't know why, but I can't imagine
a singular instance like that would cause friction.
I think it's hilarious. They're going to definitely make notion of it. Like there's going to be a conversation.
It could be a lot worse. You could be in the New York Giants locker room this past week. Like there's a lot worse situations that are going on.
I don't think it was pretty bad at all, honestly. I don't know what Abdul Carter did to get suspended, but anyway.
Since the signing, though, like now, what are the Yankees doing? What have you guys been talking about doing, Luke? I mean, has there been any talk about
the Yankees are watching the Blue Jays sign other pitchers?
And Kyle Tucker was touring Toronto today.
Kyle Tucker's in Toronto right now. They signed Ponce and they signed Cease. So the Yankees are just watching Toronto sign people.
People forget that Toronto is actually a large freaking market. Like
the only thing I've heard out of the New York Yankees is that they want to cut budget. Like that's it. That's all.
They're doing a great job.
That's all I've heard. That's all I've heard. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? And granted, like, I'm not upset about the Dylan Cease signing. I'm not upset about the Sonny Gray trade, the Cody Ponce signing. Those teams had needs at starting pitcher. The Yankees do not have needs at starting pitcher, right? You need an outfielder and you need some relievers. If they can check those boxes during the offseason, I'm good. There's nothing else that the Yankees need to do this offseason.
So you're not afraid of the Red Sox have picked up Gray, and Gray turned around and he said, by the way, I hate the Yankees. and the Blue Jays went ahead and got Cease, and they got Ponce, and they're loading up on their stuff, and we have absolutely nothing from the Yankees right now. No news, no trades.
Can I get a
a
photo of Sonny Gray's stats when he pitched in the Bronx?
And because he hated it there.
I will give you. I think that explains enough.
Sonny Gray has been good everywhere except the Yankees, because the Yankees were like, "Here's Sonny Gray. You know how you're good at pitching? Stop doing that."
I don't want.
Sonny Gray has been on the record saying the Yankees ruined him and worked him against his successful pitching. But you know this. This has been talked about. They were like, so you know how you're good at pitching? Stop doing the things you're good at. Do what we want and shave your beard. And he was miserable, which I get why he hates the Yankees. I get it. So now he's like, you know what? Screw the Yankees. I'm good everywhere else. Why would I say nice things about the Yankees? They don't
Nobody likes the Yankees.
Wait, can we time out for a second? Did Sonny Gray ever have a beard?
We'll never know.
No, I don't think he did. I think he was a pretty clean shaven guy before he came to the Yankees. We want to talk. If you want to talk about Carlos Rodon having to shave, you want to talk about all those other guys who had to shave to come to the Yankees. Johnny Damon having to shave to come to the Yankees. I don't think
Damon's a turncoat, by the way. I don't know how he respects himself, but Devin Williams.
There's like no pictures of him on social media with a beard, including Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But I do think that I remember Devin Williams gets to keep his like stubble, because I know that was a whole thing where like Devin Williams is coming to New York, and then they were like, actually, if you keep it clean, we'll allow it now. And Devin Williams just didn't have to do anything, so now he's fine. But no, I would be at least a little bit nerved though, and I'm saying this partially to torment you. I normally will say that I'm not, but like the Blue Jays are making acquisitions. The Red Sox are making acquisitions. The Rays are signing Cedric Mullins, so they're getting worse. But, like, the Jays and the Red Sox got something going on here. I mean, I agree with you. The Yankees have lesser and more specific needs, but aren't you a little worried?
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried because it's a tough division. It was a tough division last season. They're bolstering in the places where they needed help. And sure, I mean, I'm still going to be nerved about it. Here you also have the Baltimore Orioles, who were really good 2 years ago and just fell on their face. They still have that same roster, basically that same roster from 2 years ago, and they added one of the best relievers of all time in Ryan Helsley. So they're getting much better too. There's a lot to be nervous about in the AL East.
Cody Ponce is going to have more WAR next year than Ryan Helsley by far, so there's not even a worry about. I'd be more threatened by Cody Ponce.
Ram, how could you say the Yankees haven't done anything when they re-signed arguably the greatest center fielder of last season? Like, he's going to play a Yankee next year.
They offered him a qualifying offer.
We're totally brushing over the big move that the Yankees made, which is
the qualifying offer.
Trent Grisham.
They said Trent Grisham for $25 million for 1 year, and then Hal Steinbrenner was immediately like, "We have no money."
Yeah, they were literally like, they texted Trent, and they were like, "Why did you do that? That was our off-season budget, you asshole." And now we don't know what the hell's going on over there. And before we move on off the Yankees, by the way, I want Peter to know that apparently he'd still look very handsome with that.
That's untrue. I've done the scientific research.
I might actually agree with Peter.
We want to see the results.
I'm going to agree with Peter. I think it's necessary for him to keep that. Like, I think that's an important part of his look. I'm going to agree with him on this one. But that's a good thing, because he's not playing for the Yankees. Thank God.
We have to admit that it's not even the winter meetings yet, so it's still early in the winter. I mean, the Yankees could still do stuff.
So that's also something I was going to say playfully as we moved off it, is that we're just into the beginning of December, and we've already seen a number of moves. Like, normally it used to be, all right, the winter meeting stuff gets started, right? Devin Williams is off the market, right? And we go ahead, and Nimmo's already had a move with the Rangers. We've had him traded already. Cease is a big deal. I didn't necessarily want him, and I wasn't giving him the money that he got. I mean, he got 7 years and like 200 something.
30 mil a year.
It's like 210, right? Yeah, something like that. So that's huge. Those are big deals. Those are big names off the market already, but there's still a ton of other names. So we'll see what happens. But I do find it interesting that we're seeing a few guys secure their deals before the winter meetings, because usually players wait until they have those conversations for any kind of big deals. But In terms of speaking of big trade news, I mean, something that I think that I have to now discuss because it's been brought up in basketball is the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo might be on the move. There is a lot of talk about Giannis potentially being a guy that was going to LA. Adam Schefter reporting what Shams was saying is that the only team that he wanted to actually go to besides the Bucks was the Knicks, right? And that would really change the dynamic of the Knicks to a point where I don't know if that trade is actually viable or going to happen, if I'm just being real with you. I mean, Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. Of course, I would love to see him on the Knicks.
He's a top 5 guy, right? Like,
yeah, it's definitely a situation where you'd have to move Karl Anthony Towns to do this trade.
I think you gotta do it for a guy like Giannis. Like,
it changes the dynamic of the Knicks. I mean, look, we're not in a position where we have a ton of picks because of the moves we made for Mikal Bridges, the moves we made for Cat and stuff like that. So they'd have to get creative, and Cat would have to go. But in a vacuum, right? Do you take Giannis over Cat? Yeah. My worry, in a simple way, is sort of like this. The Knicks are starting to gel with a new coach, a new offensive system, figuring things out. You throw another new guy in there in a year that they have championship aspirations. It's interesting. I mean, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't take the move if it's offered to them. Probably not. I mean, Giannis is one of those guys that really, really changed. And he's also won a chip already. So he brings in championship experience. He brings in pretty good health. Granted, he did get injured today. He shouldn't be out for the season, but his Achilles might be hurt. So that is something to watch too, because although the early reports say he's not out for the season, the fact that he did go down with at least a hamstring, maybe at worst an Achilles type of strain, is scary, considering that, I mean, you don't want a situation where you're trading for damaged goods. We've already got OG Anunoby, who is on and off dealing with hamstring strains for the Knicks already. It would be an interesting scenario, because if Giannis gets traded to the Knicks and Towns gets moved out, you'd have Giannis at the 5. That means you'd have Anunoby and Bridges at the 3 and 4, and you'd have Brunson and probably Hart, right? Robinson coming off the bench for Giannis to back him up. It'd be a smaller lineup, but it makes sense. I mean, Giannis is, again, just a force. You absolutely think that he would change the dynamic of the Knicks. Him and Brunson could really do some damage, especially in a year where the East is relatively weak. I mean, that's not a shot at the Pistons. They're playing good ball. The Magic are playing good ball, but the big names outside of the Cavs in the East are not really present. There's no Jason Tatum. And although the Knicks just lost to a Tatum-less Boston Celtics, I know, I'm not particularly concerned about the Celtics beating the Knicks in a series, right? So if you can do it, I feel nerved about it, but you got to do it, right? It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Cat won't be happy about it. I know he gels here, and the Knicks system is kind of built for that. The downside, I suppose, is bringing in Mike Brown and keeping Cat was to use the Princeton offense, where everybody can really shoot the 3, including the center, right? Cat is a lot more of an elite 3-point shooter than Giannis is, and it does create some kind of interesting dynamic, because at the end of the day, now you've got to switch a bit of what you're doing with the offense if you bring in Giannis, and I don't know how well they are going to be able to do that on the fly. Like, it sounds great on paper, but it might require a readjustment the Knicks aren't ready for, and I don't even know if they have the capital to get it done. Granted, if you're trading Cat, sure, but I don't know. I feel like I should be more excited about this. I know that Giannis has wanted to come here for a while. People have talked about it. I guess that's why it doesn't really stir me. But it just makes me – I would have wished this would have happened in the offseason, because then we could have really adjusted and figured things out. Now you've got the Princeton offense running through 20-something games. The Knicks are starting to gel offensively. They need to find themselves on defense. Giannis is a great force, and he's a solid defender, but he's not necessarily going to change the dynamic of the fact that we're struggling with perimeter defense, right? I don't know. I just feel nerved about it. I don't want to give up too much, because if you're just giving up Cat and some picks, yeah, you could probably make the team work, right? But if you've got to give up more than that, any kind of other role players right now, it could really screw with the Knicks dynamic.
So let me ask a couple things, because I'm on board with you here, Ram. It's like Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. You'd love to have him, but you're still trying to gel, and a deal like this is probably going to happen closer to the deadline. So you're not going to really have that time to mesh towards that playoff run, and then for the playoffs, which again could hinder a team who has championship aspirations. my first question is, his contract's up at the end of the year. He's due a max deal. Is there a scenario where the Knicks can just sign him in the offseason instead?
Maybe, but I don't think that that's something that I mean, it's a really risky scenario because to have the cap to sign Giannis, that means you're trading somebody already. So like you're going to have to work, and it's kind of a tough one because if you're signing with Giannis would have to be obsessed with coming to New York for that to happen, where he would literally have to wait for them to trade, let's say, Cat, right? Do that in a way where they still have the leverage to do so. Because if it's the worst kept secret in the world that Giannis is coming, then nobody's going to want to take those contracts. They're going to say, no, we're not doing this. Why are we helping the Knicks win a chip unless it greatly benefits us, right? So that only happens if it's like an amazingly kept secret. They move towns and then they sign Giannis. Is it impossible? No, because the NBA has been a very player-first situation for a long time where the players are kind of working as pseudo GMs. So I'm not going to say it's impossible. But it would probably make a little more sense if that's going to happen to do something like that. I mean, one of the biggest follies in my times for the Knicks is that Carmelo forced his way to the Knicks, which required the Knicks to trade all the role players that he would have needed and the picks they could have used to bolster the team going forward. And I love Carmelo, and he's an outstanding scorer, but he wasn't enough to bring the Knicks to a title, right? And it set them back when he would have been a free agent in the offseason and could have just signed with the Knicks and all their role players. This is a little bit different now because those Knicks were looking for an identity. These Knicks have an identity, and they have star players. They have Jalen Brunson. And so I think they could win a chip like this with Cat. I think that's the crazy thing. And part of it is because the East is weak, but this is a team that could win a championship. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not going to, put myself on a limb and say anything crazy like the Sal Licatas of the world or something ridiculous, right? But they have the talent on the team to win a title. Is anybody getting past the Thunder? I don't know. I really don't know. The Thunder are ridiculous. The Thunder have like one or two losses this season, right? The Thunder are on pace to beat the 72-9 Warriors, which is insane.
They have one
loss, right? And it was
right?
it was a 2-point loss to like the Portland Trailblazers. The Thunder could very well be undefeated in a 2025 NBA season, which is insane. Coming off the title, missing one of their better defenders in Jalen Williams, who just got back 4 games ago, and the Thunder might have 2 top 10 picks going into this next year. It's one of those things where a part of me thinks, like, you want to see a dynasty, you might see one with the Thunder for a while. Like, it's very possible the Thunder just repeat and beat anybody. So I think with that in mind, too, you keep your assets in hand, right? And you figure out what you can do with you. Maybe you figure it out, maybe you don't. But I'm nervous because of what it could cost the Knicks in terms of a deal. I mean, Giannis is not coming for free under any circumstances, right? And so you might lose whatever few other assets you have that are tradable alongside Cat to make that happen. And I don't know if that works, because if Giannis is an improvement because he's so good, and Giannis is an improvement over Cat, does that guarantee the Knicks a title? Absolutely not. So I don't know if you make that move.
Is there's no scenario where you have Cat and Giannis on the same team with Brunson. Like, because to me, I'm brought back to like the Miami Heat, right? You had D Wade, you had Bosh, the big three, right? And you saw that in the a decade ago, right? Your goal as a franchise is to have your big three. Does that not exist anymore? Have we reduced it down to big two?
It's harder because of the fact that the big three even existed is because they took team-friendly situations. Like the max contract is set up for the fact that you can essentially have 2 max contracts and build your team around it, right? And so Cat and Brunson even is on a pay cut right now for the Knicks to have the team that they have.
Yep.
Right, Brunson isn't even a max paid player, so they can have OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, and so the Knicks. You can argue it's like kind of like a big 2.5 because like they have Anunoby, they have Bridges alongside Cat and Brunson, and so the way that they're set up is to keep those guys here and keep them here long term. I don't really feel that with the commitments the Knicks have given these players that they're looking to jettison these guys out, because I don't think there's a way without moving those guys like an Anunoby or Bridges. Do you have Cat and Brunson and Giannis, right? Yeah. But to do that, you're sacrificing some defensive mobility too, because Mikal Bridges and Anunoby are our best wing defenders, and they're very versatile because of that. We need them. And so if you get rid of them, you're running too big of a lineup, because the fact right now, I mean, we don't necessarily run a big lineup overall, but if you've got two guys up front, or center and power forward, that are essentially like inside, it makes it harder to run today's version of basketball. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's not possible financially more than it is an actual like fantasy NBA lineup. I mean, that would be insane, right? It would absolutely have like Cat at the straight 5 and then Giannis at the 4 and Brunson as the point guard. I mean, in the NBA video games, you couldn't build a better team than that, right? So it would work hypothetically, but I don't think financially it's even possible anyway, let alone do I think they would gel. But I don't think financially it would happen, because now, in the offseason, maybe something like that happens if Giannis was taking a pay cut to come here. But again, you'd have to have a guy that was really dedicated to the idea. The reason the Big Three happened is because LeBron and Wade and Bosh talked to each other and said, hey, we're going to fuck the league. We're going to find a way to like do this together. The three of us are going to
sign together. Did it before them, even with Garnett, Paul Pierce, and I'm blanking.
Ray Allen. But Ray Allen was not on a max contract at that time because he was getting older. Like, he was a big part of he was like, the Big Three.
He took the veterans exception or whatever it was called at the time.
Yeah, he might have waited to take that also. And also Kevin Garnett's a piece of shit, so we don't talk about him. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where there's always somebody taking a significant pay cut or something of the latter to make that happen financially. It happened with the Celtics, it happened with the Big Three and the Heat, and for that to happen here would have to be the same thing. And I don't necessarily foresee that happening because Brunson's already taking a pay cut. Cat's on his max contract, which probably can't be readjusted. So Giannis would have to come in taking a cut, and there's no guarantee he would even want to do that because he can get a max contract anywhere. Everybody would freaking like Giannis,
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree. I think it's completely up to Giannis if this happens at all. And if it happens, it probably has to happen in the summer when in the offseason. The only thing I could think of as far as the money goes is like maybe he thinks if he plays in New York, his like equity goes up as far as advertisers and stuff, and he's just gonna make that money back anyway. And maybe it's even just a legacy thing. Like the Knicks haven't won a championship since the 70s. If he comes in and is, like the key piece or one of the two big key pieces to bringing the Knicks back to a championship, then his name's going to go down in NBA, at least in New York City, NBA lore.
He'll never have to buy a meal in New York City, right? What's the value of that, right? How much do you give up to get something like that?
But here, I mean, I don't even know if that's a possibility that's gone through his head because we don't know how the ego works. You could have Giannis and Brunson say yes, and Kat says, no, I don't want that. We can do the chip on our own. Like, it requires a lot for this to happen, and that's why we're not seeing the big threes anymore. We're seeing a lot more of like what the Thunder built, where they built a superstar in Shea, and now they've just supplemented him with a bunch of affordable contracts and a whole bunch of draft picks so they can do whatever the hell they want. Some of this almost feels like a moot point as a like kind of a wasted exercise because I don't know if anyone's beaten the Thunder. I mean, the fact that they've lost once, right? Like, this is actually ridiculous. I don't know if the fact that they're coming off a chip and might have a better season off their championship season, this might just be a futile exercise because
look at 10 years ago with Cleveland and Golden State, right? And I think that was the season that Golden State lost 7 or 8 games, and then was that the year that they steamrolled and didn't lose a single game in the playoffs or something like that? I can't remember. But again, you had 3 years in a row where it was Cleveland against Golden State, and Cleveland got the better of Golden State in between those 3 years, right? Now, granted, you had Kyrie, you had LeBron, and you had Kevin Love. It was a quasi big three in Cleveland at the time. My other comment too is I agree. I don't think this season is the time to try and bring in Giannis. But if the Knicks get knocked out early in the playoffs, if they don't make it to the NBA Finals, I think you're going to hear a lot of comments about we need Giannis. Giannis needs to be in New York, and I think that's fair. I think
Yeah,
that's
Giannis
very.
should have been
I think that's a
I'm still
very
frustrated.
fair statement from Knicks fans because you did it last year. You made it that far, and you just couldn't get over the hump. And you're going to run it back 3 years in a row. Something has to change, right? Something has to change, and maybe Giannis is the guy. And for the exact reasons that you said, he's one of the best players in the NBA. He's won a chip. He knows what it takes to do it. I think that's completely fair from Knicks fans. If you lose to OKC in the finals, fine, run it back, right? But if you don't make it to the finals, I think it's very fair for Knicks fans to say, Giannis, we need Giannis. It doesn't matter what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Giannis needs to be a New York Knick. He needs to be playing at Madison Square Garden next year.
There were calls for Giannis going into the season.
Yeah.
And so I have to say, bar for bar, I agree with you. You know, if they get to the finals, they lose to OKC in a good effort, okay, you don't necessarily need to make a change, right? You're going to run it back better, see what you can do, shore up the bench, all the excuses that we always use, right? Figure it the hell out. But if they don't even make it that far, and this is a team that like flames out, and you start thinking, okay, Cat's not it, we're keeping Brunson, he's our guy, we're moving for Giannis, I can't blame a soul. I get that. I do get that 100%. But I don't think that making it in season makes sense right now because this stuff is fragile. The Princeton offense is using all 5 of them shooting the 3. It is working. Offensively, the Knicks are one of the best offensive teams in the league. They had to figure out their defense. I would more so rather get a guy like a Caruso, like get an annoying-ass little defender to get off your bench and pull that in and get them some lineup minutes and make sure OJ Anunoby stays healthy than making a move for Giannis right now and giving up some assets that they might have. And then in the offseason, we make that decision, we make that discussion because I feel like Giannis is going to be a free agent at the end of the season anyway, unless he gets traded to a few specific teams. And it would require a huge league-altering type of move to do that. So,
the Knicks don't really have the draft capital right now. They traded it all for Bridges.
No, we're lacking. So it's not like we're in a position where we could just click a button and make it happen. Like, I don't know if they're – now, granted, if Giannis says that he wants to leave, then – there's going to be a move
that significantly lowers his value, and if he has an Achilles injury, right, that obviously alters.
That's the other thing too. So we'll see.
He could be done if he has an Achilles injury.
Well,
it would be miserable.
For me, and I don't like to go down this route, but it just seems very odd that the day he says he wants to be traded, he has a non-contact leg injury. Like. Something's going on there. Something's going on. Either it's he wants to lower his value so that he can move to a team and that team still has those assets to get him. Or on the flip side, the Bucks don't want him playing in games so that his value stays high, and they can still move him without being hurt.
There is something suspicious about it, I admit. Either it's a little bit weird and God is a Bucks fan, or it's planned collectively between the teams so they can have a discussion and figure out, like, Giannis, do you want to stay? If so, then we're going to take it easy because this might not be a year and we're going to bolster in next year when you stay here. Or if we need to move you, we need to start working on that right now and actually talk to teams and figure out what we can do without hurting your trade value. So we'll see.
I think the other thing that's underlying here, and Ram, I think you can really enjoy this, but we talk about, was it 7 or 8 years ago, was Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving talking mid-season, right? I don't know if you recall this, mid-season about, when the season ends, we're gonna sign in New York. We're gonna sign in New York. Now, granted, they did sign in New York, just with the wrong team. But it's fun and I will not go as far to say that I'm a Knicks fan, but as a New York fan, to have a player of Giannis's caliber wanting to be a New York Knick, like, that's really cool. Like, I got people, and I know that's been an issue for the Knicks in previous years. Is they have always been the girl at prom that just doesn't get someone to dance with, right? And then you're stuck building through the draft, and they suck at building through the draft. So I think it's really cool. And I think James Dolan is doing a really great job, building this environment that guys want to come and play. And it's all credit to James Dolan and his Optimum Corporation. And they're doing a great job.
We only have room for one sponsorship on the show right now, so Optima's not going to sponsor us. But
James, look at how well we did with our sponsor today. Just pick us up. Pick us up.
I will say though, it is. I mean, look, you see the tweet out that's like, "Oh, Giannis wants to come to New York." You're like, "Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does." Like, it feels good. I do enjoy that, right? I mean, I have fun with that. I do think it's interesting to see that. I give Jalen Brunson so much credit, man. Because that dude came, the Knicks believed in Jalen Brunson ahead of time. They made moves that seemed dumb to get Jalen Brunson, and then he came here and put this team on the map. And now people are like dying to come play over here. And I don't know how long it lasts, but it is fun. I do admit to that. It is very nice to see that they're clearly like a desire to be a Knick again, and that's good because being a Knick has a lot of history, and it's fun to see that much. We'll see how this year plays out. I mean, the infamous Saudi Arabian sponsored tournament continues on. The Knicks have not been eliminated. They will face the Raptors in the quarterfinal game in about a week or so. And so we'll sit down and we'll talk about that when that comes up because the players are talking about it. So we're going to have to talk about the NBA Cup when that happens. But
I mean, to your point earlier, though, like the Knicks are playing pretty good right now. I mean, they've won 7 out of their last 10. 11-1 on the year at home.
Yeah, they lost one game at home. They've looked really good in front of the Madison Square Garden faithful, which has been fun for people who are going to pay the overpriced tickets to go watch them play. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that they offensively they're finding themselves as a unit. They're struggling with certain things. I mean, to speak about some specifics, their perimeter defense is lacking. They're giving up too many threes. They also struggle with the Celtics in the recent loss because the Celtics employed the classic hack-a-shack strategy on Mitch. Hack-a-Mitch worked because the Knicks just weren't expecting to see that like 20 games into the season, and it completely threw off their momentum. And kudos to the Celtics for, playing dirty and doing that because that was their playoff game. But they need to be better prepared for things like that at the end of the day. I'm going to give them time. I'm comfortable with the good that I've seen, calm about the bad that I've seen. We've still got another 30 games before I start really giving concrete opinion and start getting mad about the Knicks. But overall, they're shooting the lights out. They're playing pretty well offensively. This is going to be a playoff team, and this is going to be a playoff team with aspirations. So we're going to see what happens. I mean, even if they don't get Giannis, I don't believe this is a team that's done making moves either. I do think they make some kind of veteran pickup or something at the deadline or something like that just to bolster the depth because right now it's working. And you want to be prepared in case you have another injury. These games are going to look a lot different when OG Anunoby comes back too because he is our primary defender. He might be made of glass, but he is our primary defender. So we'll see what happens. But I think we've cycled around and covered most of the things we need to cover today, folks, unless there's anything I'm missing. If there is, speak up now or hold your peace.
I don't think so.
All right, good. So we're going to swing into some final thoughts for the evening. And I think I will kick us off because I saw something that I thought was really funny that I felt the desire to share. And that was from the newest New York Met, Devin Williams, who went ahead and he posted today for a bunch of people that didn't want me back on your team. Y'all sure are mad in the DMs. And Devin Williams is going out there having fun talking about the fact that Yankees fans have been sending him very hateful DMs, being the jilted bride yet again. A familiar feeling, apparently, to Yankees fans. I didn't think they'd be upset over Devin Williams as they were over Juan Soto. But it seems like Devin Williams is adjusting to being a Met just fine, folks. And I think he is perfectly happy with his decision and well aware of the beautiful tone of Yankee fans who supposedly didn't want him back on the team. So we're going there, I guess. Luke, I'll kick it to you guys. Who's smiling? What do you have on final takes for the evening?
Yeah, I don't know if we have any CBL people out there, but I don't know if you all had heard, but Ram won the Big East as UConn. Ram won the Big East tournament. Yeah, Ram won the Big East. From one Big East team to another, Seton Hall basketball looks really good this year. And I know, Ashley, I think you've watched a couple of games. I've kind of dogged on them, but they're 8-1 right now.
The NC State win was actually a good win for them.
I think NC State was a top 25 team when they beat them. They looked good at the Maui Invitational. I think they went 2-1. I think they came in third place too. The one loss to USC was a solid basketball program. I think they only lost by 2 points. And then another win tonight. So Seton Hall basketball looking great to start the season. Let's hope the momentum comes through for the Big East schedule.
All right, cool. Peter, what do you got for us?
I have two final thoughts and a plug, so I'll keep them quick. So there was a lot of discussion about Francisco Lindor, I believe very unfairly, talking about how maybe he isn't a good leader and his relationship with Juan Soto. It was weird. I thought I remember it was Kodai Senga that pitched to an ERA of 5.90 from June 13th on. I didn't realize it was their relationship who pitched that badly. I thought it was David Peterson that pitched to an ERA of 5.76 from June 13th, but apparently it was Juan Soto and Lindor's relationship. I thought the New York Mets team pitched to an ERA of 4.95 since June 13th to finish the season, but again, apparently it was Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto's relationship that had that terrible ERA. So, it's just crazy. I didn't realize relationships could pitch. That's weird. Anyway, here's my plug. On Sunday, if you're in the tri-state area, the Napoli fan club that I'm the vice president of, Tri-State Napoli Club, are hosting a watch party for Napoli versus Juventus. For anyone that knows anything about Italian soccer, this is a huge rivalry. So if you're in the area, you want to watch a great soccer game, eat some great pizza, that's the place to be. And my last thought is Lane Kiffin's pussy-ass bitch.
If we order one of those pizzas, does it have wording on it? Does it come like that or
No, that is a special request of me being the vice president and able to pull things like that.
If I go with you and I tell them I podcast with you, will they do it for me?
Probably not.
That actually sucks.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. What's the point of being connected?
How do I RSVP for this event?
Can I speak honestly? You're not going to want it like that. You're going to want the cheese spread out because it's going to be colder. The cheese is going to be colder in the middle because it's going to be bunched and thicker. The pizza's going to taste better without.
What if I told them that you told me to put pineapples on it?
I would kick you out of the restaurant.
What's wrong with pineapple on pizza? Come on.
I don't have time for this.
Oh, Peter, do you have somewhere to be that you don't have time for this?
I don't want to hear somebody that lives in.
You need a good night. You need a good night's sleep before you go to work tomorrow. I got you.
Cincinnati to talk
it's
to me
usually
about
me, but
Peter so handsome as far Kiffin does suck. Lane Kiffin is a bitch. But moving off Lane Kiffin being a bitch, by the way, to make sure he has his time. Do you have anything to share with us, Ash, before we wrap up the Making Fun of Peter hour?
yeah, the Red Storm are off to a little bit of a struggle right now, 4-3 on the early season, and I know there's got to be some angst going on up there in Queens. But I will say that I've seen plenty of Rick Pitino teams over the years start out a little bit slow, and they're usually the type of programs that peak in February and March. So no need to be jumping off the bridges or anything yet. I mean, all three losses are to very, very good teams. You had the beginning of the year, you lost to Auburn. Or excuse me, that one was the most recent loss to Auburn, Iowa State, and Alabama. I mean, those are three top 20 teams. So there's nothing to be real upset about there, other than the fact that their defense maybe hasn't been Pitino-esque, I should say, in those losses. But I have I have all the confidence that he is going to whip that team into shape, and they're going to be firing all cylinders come February and March. So I am still on the Red Storm bandwagon and think that they will get a dub this weekend against Ole Miss, and then they'll roll right into Big East play and be clicking on all cylinders. So it's not time to panic just yet for St. John's.
Yeah, little Big East basketball talk today. I like it. Well, on behalf of Big East basketball of the New York Sports, Ash, Peter, myself, and Luke, and thank you all for tuning in today. We had a nice active little commentary, so we appreciate all of you so much. Makes it a lot more fun. For those of you who tuned in for the first time, thebestdamnsports.com. You can find us. It'll lead us to YouTube, where you can subscribe for free, and we will love you forever. Literally, that's all you have to do. Click a button. And you can hear more takes about me talking about pornography for free. Now, signing us off for the night. On behalf of everybody, thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you again in a week. Take care.